Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, everybody had a good weekend this weekend. Got some good rest last night, and hopefully, that you are ready to conquer the day because it's the start of a new week. For those who started on Monday, some people started on Sunday, right? So, hopefully, everybody's doing good today, and I appreciate you and just want to start off with gratitude for just showing up today, not just, to join us this morning, but for yourself, right? And wanting a better mindset, wanting a better life, right? Wanting to get better, wanting to receive information. So this way, whatever you put in your head, right? Whatever I put in your head, whatever you listen to, hopefully this is a part of your routine to get positivity in your life. So this way you can exude and breathe out positivity, and then whatever information that you receive, not just from me today, but from us on as a collective, as a team on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, that you take it in and you share it with others, make yourself better. So this way your surroundings and the people around you are better. Right. So today I want to start off by saying that too, because today I want to talk about before we get into the video, I want to talk about ego. So me and somebody this weekend was talking about ego, right? And we had to like simply define it and then show like what was the good things and the bad things, right? And also I think I'm gonna prepare this for when I teach kids as well, right? So then when we just Google the word ego and what it is, right? It's defined by a person's sense of self-esteem and self-importance, right? But then we try to break that down and say, hey, is ego a good thing or a bad thing, right? It's like saying money. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing, right? So with having an ego, right, just in general, right, in inherently it isn't a bad thing, right? It is a natural part of being human and plays a role in forming our identity and self-esteem, right? But however, right, then there's also a flip side. When the ego becomes overinflated or too dominant, then it can lead to several negative consequences. And usually when we talk to people, this is what we are talking about with people, like, oh, they have so much of a big ego, right? So I want you to know, like, that there is a balance with having that ego, and there's some things you can do to counteract that ego. But first I want to talk about some of the negative things of having that overinflated or too dominant ego, right? So the first thing is that it will definitely impede your growth and learning, right? So having a strong ego often makes people resistant. That's the key word, resistant to feedback and criticism, right? And then they may believe that they're always right, or which can prevent them from recognizing mistakes and learning from them, right? I know we know people out there like that, like, nah, I'm good. I got this. I know, right? Those people are always right, right? But then what that leads to is that it strains relationships, right? So an overactive ego can also cause conflicts in relationships because when someone prioritizes their ego, they might become more focused on being right and superior rather than understanding others' perspectives or collaborating, right? And then what another thing that ego does is that it creates, right, insecurities for people. So a large ego can actually mask deep insecurities for people. So when self-worth is tied to external validations or superiority, any challenge or failure can lead to significant emotional distress. And that's why people sometimes have a big ego, because they're hiding their insecurities, right? But then what also happens, right? Because this is a chain effect, is that when you have a big ego, it also blocks empathy and connection, right? Not just this insecurity. I mean, this is one of the reasons why also it strains the relationships, is that the ego can make people more self-centered, reducing their ability to empathize with others, right? So this self-centeredness can limit their capacity for meaningful connections and understandings, right? So that's what the big ego. And then last but not least, there's so many things that we can point out, right? Is that it messes up your problem solving skills, right? Because an inflated ego can really lead to poor decision making when someone is more concerned with protecting their image or proving themselves right? And they might ignore better solutions or refuse to admit when they're wrong, right? So this is the negative side of having that inflated ego. But there is things to counteract that, right? Because all about small things like humility to get us to a better place mentally, so we can be whole and not so self-centered and well-grounded, right? And then also use that ego as a good thing of confidence. So before I get into those couple of things of what we can do on the positive note of your ego, we're going to watch a really short video and then get back to this conversation.
I'm here to plant a seed today, a seed that will inspire you to move forward in life with enthusiastic hearts and a clear sense of wholeness. Now, fear is going to be a player in your life, but you get to decide how much. You can spend your whole life imagining ghosts, worrying about the pathway to the future, but all there will ever be is what's happening here, and the decisions we make in this moment, which are based in either love or fear. So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm saying I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it. Not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. How will you serve the world? What do they need that your talent can provide? That's all you have to figure out. As someone who's done what you're about to go and do, I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Because everything you gain in life will rot and fall apart, and all that will be left of you is what was in your heart. That peace that we're after lies somewhere beyond personality, beyond the perception of others, beyond invention and disguise, even beyond effort itself. You can join the game, fight the wars, play with form all you want, but to find real peace, you have to let the armor go. Your need for acceptance can make you invisible in this world. Don't let anything stand in the way of the light that shines through this form. Risk being seen in all of your glory, because ultimately, we're not the avatars we create. We're not the pictures on the film stock. We are the light that shines through. All else is just smoke and mirrors, distracting, but not truly compelling. I've often said that I wished people could realize all their dreams and wealth and fame, and so that they could see that it's not where you're going to find your sense of completion. Like many of you, I was concerned about going out into the world and doing something bigger than myself, until someone smarter than myself made me realize that there is nothing bigger than myself. As that shift happens in you, you won't be feeling the world, you'll be felt by it, you'll be embraced by it. The imagination is always manufacturing scenarios, both good and bad, and the ego tries to keep you trapped in the multiplex of the mind. Our eyes are not viewers, they're also projectors that are running a second story over the picture that we see in front of us all the time. Fear is writing that script, and the working title is, I'll Never Be Enough. Is the voice of the ego. And if you listen to it, there will always be someone who's doing better than you. No matter what you gain, ego will not let you rest. It will tell you that you cannot stop until you've left an indelible mark on the earth, until you've achieved immortality. How tricky is this ego that it would tempt us with the promise of something we already possess? Your job is not to figure out how it's going to happen for you, but to open the door in your head. And when the door opens in real life, just walk through it. And don't worry if you miss your cue, because there's always doors opening. They keep opening. And when I say life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, I really don't know if that's true. I'm just making a conscious choice to perceive challenges as something beneficial so that I can deal with them in the most productive way. You'll come up with your own style. That's part of the fun. Oh, and why not take a chance on faith as well? Not religion, but faith. Not hope, but faith. I don't believe in hope. Hope is a beggar. Hope walks through the fire and faith leaps over it.
That was a quick video on ego from Jim Carrey. Very, very great man. But yeah, he summed it up very, very quickly, right? But with our two things I picked up quickly from the video, right, is that perceived challenges, right, or perceived challenges as beneficial, right? So you can take it on, right, very, and I'm using my own words, comfortably and without like fear, right? So that's one of the things, like sometimes ego gets in the way of, because we want to be right, we want to know things, right? So sometimes we face these problems as we know things, and it's not a beneficial thing when we drop the ego, whether we know it or know the answer or not. When it becomes beneficial to us, then our good side of the ego allows us to embrace the challenges and get help from people, look at different ways we can tackle it from our own lens and our own eyes, right? So some of the positivity and some things we can embrace a better ego, right, is humility, right? Sometimes we need to embrace humility in order to be on the positive side of ego, right? Because a leader, a person, a boss, a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a father, right, who admits their mistakes and seeks advice from, let's say, their teen, their child, their circle of influence fosters trust and collaboration, right? So by shedding the ego, you create an environment where others feel valued and motivated, right? So leading to a better relationship, a better team, being a better mother, better father, better aunt, better uncle, right? So you have to embrace that humility. And with that humility also comes practicing active listening, right? So instead of thinking about your responses while someone else is speaking, truly listen, right? They said 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? So listen more than you talk. And what happens is this opens up a new perspective and ideas that you might have missed, right? So that's fostering deep connections with people, which eventually leads to better decision making, not just for yourself, but for other people as well. Because now when people tend to talk and people feel as you're listening, right? Not see that you're listening, feel as you're listening, then both parties, you and the other person or group of people, can make better decisions together, right? Whether it's business, whether it's family, whether it's a place of work, whatever that looks like, right? And then the next thing, and Jim Carrey touched this, but in a different way, right? Is just that we have to not acknowledge and overcome our insecurities, because our ego tends to hide these insecurities. So someone might reject constructive criticism because it hurts their ego, right? And we're looking, oh, that's what Jim Carrey said. He said we put on this shield of armor, right? Because we're protecting ourselves from this constructive criticism, right? Because it's gonna hurt their ego. But accepting this can lead to personal growth and improved skills, right? So acknowledging the insecurity allows you to work on self-improvement rather than being defensive. So personal growth, right? So that goes with the mindset, and improved skills is skills that you need to apply to different situations, whether it's again labor, whether it's thinking, right? Because that's a skill as well, whether it's leading a team or being a better person for your family, friends, and work environment, right? And then the next thing would be to prioritize collective success over the personal glory, right? So I'll give you an example with this because again, it's a conversation, but like in a in a team project, focusing on the success of the team rather than individual recognition leads to better collaboration and results, right? So an ego-driven approach might cause conflict or competition that hinders progress. And I know sometimes it's a fine line because we want to be recognized for our individual accomplishment. And I'm not saying don't, right? But there's and again, this is a broad spectrum, but I want you to, especially if you work in a team, usually it's a team effort because everybody plays their role, right? And sometimes you couldn't have done the thing you accomplish without the help of others, whether somebody trained you to get there, whether somebody helped you write something, word something, right? But ultimately, you recognize yourself and recognize the team first, right? Because people want to feel valued, and that will shed down that armor, right? And take that constructive criticism. And then the next thing would be like be open to change and adaptation, right? So, for example, a business owner clinging to like outdated methods and the old way of doing things because of ego, because of ego can harm them from their company, but letting go of the ego allows them to embrace innovation and stay competitive in rapidly changing markets, right? So in business, right? Because I work with a lot of small business owners, like they're used to doing things their way, so their way is the right way. And sometimes you need somebody to come in, like me, to come talk to them and look at things from a different light and bring these ideas all together. But if you don't embrace the change and adaptation, and the world is changing, right? Because the world is ever forever evolving, then that is a part of ego blocking you as well, right? And then I mentioned this earlier, but just cultivate empathy, right? You just it's just something about somebody who cares, right? Because when you prioritize and understand other feelings and perspective, you build stronger relationships, right? And an ego focused and the negative side, an ego focused person may struggle with this, right? Leading to conflicts, leading to misunderstanding, leading to avoidance, right? Because they just don't want to be open with anybody. They don't want to have feelings, right? Because sometimes people say, and granted, right, broad spectrum, that feelings are the enemy sometimes, right? But we have to genuinely care. We have to, right? Ego wouldn't allow you to care. And then this is just something that I threw in there because ego blocks this, and it was a really interesting thing as well. But And we continuously to say this in all our mindset calls, because this is the thing that will continuously help you evolve as a person, your mindset, your skills, is that you have to encourage yourself and others to continuously learn, right? Because believing you already know everything can halt your personal development. But by recognizing your limits and your knowledge and staying curious, you remain open to learning and growing, which leads to ongoing improvement, right? And then each of these points of just letting go of the ego can lead to eventually better relationships, personal growth, and overall success. Right. So that is the upside and the bad side of ego. And then let me see. I got 4 minutes. So what I'm gonna do is hopefully that was a good message that sunk in with you. I'm gonna actually read something to you right now to close us out from the famous 177 mental toughness secrets of the world class, right? To really close us out. And the topic for this one was the world class operates from love and abundance, right? So because we want you and because you are, right, heading to world class if you're not already, and even if you are, we're continuously learning, growing, is that considered average performers never considered the broad scope and significance love has on everything we do. Professional performers know we can only operate from one of two frames of consciousness at any given time: ego and spirit. Middle class performers are masters of operating from ego, in which pride and self righteousness are the objectives of the game. Amateur performers believe their success is primarily their their own doing. The belief in the self-made man woman theory. The world class is aware that all good things come from the spirit of love. They know love is the natural order of the universe, and that ego and self pride have been created by man over the centuries to cover a fragile self image. That's that armor we were talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Many people fear inferior to others and mask their feelings by displaying false pride and bravado. The great ones embrace love as the root of their success and feelings of fulfillment. They know that without the loving guidance and support of others, they could not have reached or even dreamed of aspiring to the world class. Their recognition of and gratitude of the power of love creates more abundance in their lives. This fountain of potential continues to bless the champions. The only thing that can clog the system is ego, which is the evil stepchild of fear. The great ones lock the door when ego comes to town. They only acknowledge the spirit-based consciousness, which they recognize by its calling card: love and abundance. Ego cannot exist in this realm, only gratitude. While the amateur egotistically believes he is responsible for his great success, the pros know that the abundance of life comes from a far greater source. And your action step for today, ladies and gentlemen, is monitor your mental state of mind. Ask this critical thinking question every couple of hours today. So today, every couple of hours, ask yourself this question: am I operating from a consciousness of ego or a consciousness of spirit? The answer is the blueprint of your behavior. Your approach to problems, people, and life is greatly influenced by your operating state of mind, and the world looks very different through that spirit than through the ego. So have a great day, ladies and gentlemen, right? Don't lead with your ego, lead with empathy, feelings, feeling great. I love you guys. We want you to win because you are world class. And I'll see you again on Wednesday. Have a great day.